I did see this week that rates in mortgages this week creeped up just a little bit, primarily because the Dow creeped up a little bit. And it's hard to believe, but this is the week that the highest point since May of 2008 for the Dow Industrials hit 12,000. This was on Thursday, 12,904, and that's the highest point since May 19th of 2008. So the market creeping up, and I highlighted only one comment out of that, which basically said with Treasury rates so low, there's no alternative to making any kind of return other than buying stocks. I mean, where else do you put your money if you don't want a zero return? Because bonds aren't returning anything, and so people are putting their stock money in the stock market for no other reason is just maybe I'll get 1 or 2%, and I don't even think there's a tremendous volume of excitement about what companies are doing, other than the fact that they got to put their money somewhere. So if you've been sitting on the sidelines this year, we started out the year pretty high, dipped down a little bit, but we're back up to a 4-year high. So think about that. I don't know where you'd put your money these days to make any sort of sense. I did see that GM, General Motors, reported a near record profit. Had they not had some losses overseas, they probably would have made close to $10 billion this year. But then you go through and you look and you realize that, if I was another car manufacturer, I'm not sure I'd be that thrilled with GM's bailout. I mean, GM was given by us, the taxpayers, $50 billion to reorganize themselves. So if they made $10 billion this year, did they write us a check for $10 million? Do we get our $10 billion back? By the way, the stock price needs to double from where it is right now in order for us to break even as a taxpayer. So we're still got a ways to go on our GM investment. But look at this. GM has basically no debt because they reorganized. They got rid of a lot of their pension issues. And they will pay very little U.S. taxes for years to come as a condition of their government rescue. So if you're Ford or Chrysler, and you got to compete with GM, and I just bought a GM product, so their product is good, but are we playing on a fair field? No. I mean, they have $50 billion check they got. They got rid of a bunch of debt. They got rid of some other pension and payroll issues. And by the way, you guys will just keep the $10 billion. We're not going to charge any taxes on that as well. Not exactly a fair playing field for the folks at Ford and Chrysler and anybody else who's in the car manufacturer business. But maybe we'll get our money back. They have a few more $10 billion years ahead of them. We'll see. Were you going to say something to genius there? No? You going to say something stupid? Anything?
It's why you bring me in, to make you sound great. Make you sound smart.
I'm going to cut your pay in half today, from 0 to half a zero. I did a couple more little wrap-up items. We'll take a break for the end of the hour. And then coming in the second hour today, Donna Souter will do a lot of the, kind of our mortgage and related type of topics in the second hour between 10 and 11 today, because that seems to be a topic everybody wants to talk about. And there's just so much misconception about what is going on with short sales and what the banks are willing to do. Ryan was just asking me here, doesn't everybody who was foreclosed on in California, don't they get a check for $1,500 or something? That wasn't that in the newspaper? And we'll talk about that all during the second hour. And the answer is maybe. So we got a couple phone lines open if you want to jump in at 339-1140 or 1-800-920-1140. I did see that today that PG&E announced they expect their San Bruno pipeline blast to cost them a few bucks. Want to take a guess?
$22 billion.
Now, anything I say now is going to be total peanuts. Getting $22 billion.
I have no idea.
Chris, hit the dumb button again. I'm going to say something. I'm going to do a preliminary. Well, they're expecting that their fine, just the fine alone, will be about $200 million fine.
Okay. But
they expect that the cost of the overall settlement and cleanup would be about $1.7 billion for this event.
That's nothing.
Just compared to Nick's $22 billion, it's like a rounding error for that. And here's my challenge. And they were a little bit, I don't want to say they were whining a little bit, basically, but they interviewed from somebody from PG&E, one of the financial officers. He said, "Hey, that essentially wipes out every dollar and every penny PG&E has made in the last 10 years of profit." And my point is that had PG&E spent any amount of money at all just reinvesting in themselves and maybe fixing things, and maybe they have, but they have just had a horrendous amount of luck lately. So PG&E is going to wipe out every dollar they've made in the last 10 years just in costs for replacing or for settling just this one incident. So that's not good. And I still contend to this day that nobody has been held accountable for this. I mean, we've seen things that were significantly less egregious. People seem to be getting at least the perp walk, at least make somebody walk in handcuffs, even if they're not going to. I mean, nobody has been held personally accountable for a massive disaster in San Bruno, other than, okay, we might bill you guys $1.7 billion, but I don't know. Who's being affected? The shareholders maybe, but who's being held accountable for this? Nobody. And people died in this thing. And so some things that go on, I just shock me a little bit that nobody's been held up to that one as well. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know. We got a couple minutes left here. Did you see out of the Google and Zynga and iPod and iPad and all of our? It seems like every week we get a new story in the world of social media. I saw Zynga, who went public fourth quarter 2010. Is that right, or was it 11? No, they just went public. They just announced that they had a $435 million loss as all of the employees and the staff at Zynga decided they're going to take a little bonus now, take some of their money out of the company. So Zynga is not off to a good foot. Lost $435 million in the first quarter, primarily due from people just cashing in and taking some money and hitting the streets. But this is the one that got me. I don't know if did you see this about Google?
No.
So Google has figured out a way that they could overwrite the code on your Safari browser. Safari is for the Apple, so your iPad, your iPhone, and your Mac. And Google could figure out where you were going on Safari, even if you had the button click that said, don't share my information. So Google had figured out a code around it to get in there and track what you were doing, what sites you were seeing. And it wasn't until actually a kid out of Stanford, in conjunction with the Wall Street Journal, discovered this, and then Google said, "Oops, oh yeah, we didn't know we were doing that."
Right? Allegedly, they actually said the company bypassed the privacy settings on the software using specific code to be able to get that information.
So now Google has also announced, was it last week, where they said we're going to basically start tracking everything you do. You're not going to be allowed to obscure our vision of what you're doing, and so we want to know better where you're shopping. So Google has almost become. They're in a position now where it's a tough spot to be in, because they as someone who advertises on Google and does different things, I want them to be able to deliver to me the best possible product, right? I want to know where John and where Ryan are going. I want to know what they're looking for. If they're looking for mortgages, I want to know what they're doing. But on the other hand, they're in a tough situation, because I look at Google and say, you know what? I don't even know if I want to use Google anymore. If you can't offset their privacy to do what you want to do, maybe I just won't use them. So it's a tough position. We'll see how that shakes out, but they got their hand slapped a little bit this week, and Apple is trying to slap Samsung's hand. We'll talk about that, because Samsung's getting ready to come out with their brand new Galaxy Nexus, which is supposed to be the biggest challenger yet to the iPhone, and Apple's suing them left and right to try to stop that one. So you could do a lot of fun things. You got a lot of cash in the bank there. We got to take another break for the top of the hour. When we come back, Donna Sauter, did I pronounce that right? Sauter. If I butcher it 3 or 4 more times, don't take it personally. And we'll talk all mortgages and IRS tax bills and all that good stuff when we come back. This is Talkin Money. Hang around. We'll be right back, folks.